August 3rd, 2018. This video is called
A Mutant Garden.
I never thought that I would have a mutant garden. I never thought that I would witness in my lifetime an event that
has not really been taken seriously.
However, there's a formula, a mathematical formula by which you can determine what level this accident is. This accident has already released something on the order of 50,000 trillion becquerels of radiation. You do the math. That puts it right smack in the middle of a level 7 nuclear accident. Still less than Chernobyl. However, radiation is continuing to leak out of the reactors. The situation is not stable at all. So you're looking at basically a ticking time bomb. It appears stable, but the slightest disturbance, a secondary earthquake, a pipe break, evacuation of the crew at Fukushima could set off a full-scale meltdown at 3 nuclear power stations, far beyond what we saw at Chernobyl. Think of driving a car, and the car all of a sudden lunges out of control. You hit the brakes don't work. That's because the earthquake wiped out the safety systems in the first minutes of the earthquake and tsunami. Then your radiator starts to heat up and explodes. That's the hydrogen gas explosion. And then to make it worse, the gas tank is heating up, and all of a sudden your whole car is going to be in flames. That's the full-scale meltdown. So what do? You drive the car into a river. That's what the utility did by putting seawater from the Pacific Ocean in a desperate attempt to keep water on top of the core. But then seawater has salt in it, and that gums up your radiator. And so what do? You call out the local firemen. And so now you have these Japanese samurai warriors. They know that this is potentially a suicide mission. They're coming in with hose water, trying to keep water over the melted nuclear reactor cores. So that's the situation now. So when the utility says that things are stable, it's only stable in the sense that you're dangling from a cliff, hanging by your fingernails, and as the time goes by, each fingernail starts to crack. That's the situation now.
Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
what truth?
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Do not recommend that people in the United States take precautionary measures beyond staying informed. And going forward, we will continue to keep the American people fully updated, because I believe that you must know what I know as president.
And this is genetic blasphemy.
And so far in the last 20 miles, we only seen one bird. Brutal. There's nothing alive. It's like we're on the moon or something.
And let's be blunt about this. Would you buy food that says made in Chernobyl? And the Japanese people are also saying, what should I buy food that says made in Fukushima? We're talking about the collapse of the local economy. Just because the government tries to lowball all the numbers, downplay the severity of the accident, and that's making it much worse.
Blasphemy.
Wormwood! I mean, that might be what's about to... the implementation... It's obvious the problem. Japan!
Some may have concerns about Fukushima. Let me assure you, the situation is under control. It has never done and will never do any damage.
It's obviously a problem. Japan!
You're there for 1 hour and you have radiation sickness. You vomit, your white corpuscle count goes down, your hair falls out. And remember that we could see an increase in leukemia, we could see an increase in thyroid cancers. That's the inevitable consequence of releasing enormous quantities of iodine into the environment.
Long-lived radionuclides such as cesium-137 are something new to us as a species. They did not exist on Earth in any appreciable quantities during the entire evolution of complex life. Although they are invisible to our senses, they are millions of times more poisonous than most of the common poisons we are familiar with. They cause cancer, leukemia, genetic mutations, birth defects, malformations, and abortions at concentrations almost below human recognition and comprehension. They are lethal at the atomic and molecular level. They emit radiation, invisible forms of matter and energy that we might compare to fire, because radiation burns and destroys human tissue. But unlike the fire of fossil fuels, the nuclear fire that issues forth from radioactive elements cannot be extinguished. It is not a fire that can be scattered or suffocated, because it burns at the atomic level. It comes from the disintegration of single atoms.
This is genetic blasphemy.
Implications for human health is disastrous.
It's way worse than originally thought.
This is genetic blasphemy.
TEPCO, the company that owns the crippled plant, is still struggling to deal with the disaster. All 4 reactors are still emitting radiation.
This is genetic blasphemy.
This is genetic blasphemy.
And we just had a good anesthesia. This is genetic blasphemy.
How evil? Really evil. Like so evil that you would say it was evil. Like it's the fruits of the devil. Evil. Wormwood!